Well, my friends, the highly anticipated Samsung Galaxy XR headset is here, and after having our team spend over a week with this device, we can easily say this is a strong glimpse into the future of XR that many are very patiently waiting for. It seems like a lot of people are somewhat bearish on this headset form factor, especially after what we saw with the heavier, more isolating Apple Vision Pro, but with the Galaxy XR, it's a bit different as we got an unexpected approximation on what real day-to-day augmented reality will actually feel like, which is something you need to keep in mind when watching these reviews. This is certainly a vision into the future, and honestly, for the first time, this form factor seems to be on the right track, paving way for what is inevitably the bigger excitement: XR-enabled smart glasses. In the meantime, these headsets are the type of device we will be living with for quite some time, and with Samsung's first iteration, it makes sense to talk about what they did with the hardware. And it seems like the Galaxy XR has a slightly different philosophy than Apple's Vision Pro. Yes, the Galaxy XR is significantly lighter than the Vision Pro at 1.2 pounds compared to Apple's 1.7, but there's also a big difference in how it fits during prolonged use. The Galaxy XR rests right on your forehead and the back of your head, so it will never touch your cheeks or the bridge of your nose, a common pain point for Vision Pro users. And this simple shift is very noticeable. With this context, the Vision Pro fits more like a helmet, while the Galaxy XR feels more like a pair of ski goggles. Both are intrusive, absolutely, but there is a clear winner when it comes to the feeling of freedom. And honestly, the most impactful difference, and really the main focus between the fit and finish, is the openness. With the Galaxy XR, I can see the real world to my left, right, and below the lenses, which does a good job at blending reality with the virtual. It helps because I'm able to stay in the real world, whereas the Vision Pro specifically feels like you're entering a different one. This makes the Galaxy XR far more practical than any camera pass-through could ever be, as you can easily look down and see your keyboard, mouse, check your phone, or respond to a real-world instance without any friction. But if you do want immersion, there is a solution here, as you can attach two magnetic light shields, which help a lot when you want to be fully engaged in your content. Now, speaking of that camera pass-through, the 4K per eye resolution is good for virtual content, but it's not high enough to view your phone or laptop screen without any blur, as the cameras just don't capture the fidelity of the real world as much as we would have liked. When looking via pass-through, it's really hard not to notice the more muted colors, which can be quite depressing for lack of a better word. In terms of physical controls, you get a volume rocker and a multifunctional button up top. There's also a trackpad on the side to recenter your view, but honestly, it feels like an unneeded control surface, as the dial on the Vision Pro is a much smarter solution. But the biggest hardware mistake Samsung made is putting the adjustment knob on the very back of the headset. This eliminates most of the lean back experiences, like resting your head against a wall or a high back chair to watch a movie. Definitely a huge design flaw for how myself and I think many others would want to relax and actually watch content. Rounding out the hardware, I'd like to say that hand tracking is very accurate and right on par with Apple's implementation. It feels like this is a problem solved for the most part. I would also say eye tracking was more than passable, definitely a great alternative way to interact with the user interface. And lastly, just something that we wanted to know, the cooling fan is louder than the Vision Pro, which is an annoyance when audio isn't playing, but that's just something small I wanted to know. Moving on to the software, Android XR does feel very familiar here, specifically like Samsung's version of Android. In fact, the entire settings and general menu is very One UI-ified, which is fine. As someone that typically doesn't use Samsung phones, I'm not totally in love with it. I would have much rather Google taken a more opinionated visual approach with Material 3 Expressive, and honestly, a more functional approach for that matter. As an example, taking calls only works if you have a Samsung phone, and Google Messages is just the non-native web application. So in that regard, I would say Android XR is lacking, as my Pixel phone, or really other Android devices in general, don't have that true cohesion like we would have wanted. That said, everywhere else is the exact opposite. To us, Android XR is way more intuitive than Apple's Vision OS because it relies more on traditional software experiences. You have window controls and a pill right above the app that you're looking at, just like on Android 16, and window controls in general actually are way more obvious than expected. That said, 3-button navigation is certainly a choice when it comes to Android XR. In order to access, you do need to bring up your palm, pinch and then slide to your preferred option. Definitely not endgame for this gesture. In my opinion, they really need to consider something a bit more intuitive. Regardless, all of that is minor considering the app experience within Android XR is surprisingly strong here. All apps open in tablet mode by default, but you can resize them to a phone-sized portrait mode if needed. It's really a cool experience actually. Like the first time I resized a Google Keep window to be phone-sized, it felt like I was manipulating my physical environment. It's a small thing, but certainly feels very futuristic. For productivity though, it would have been nice if Samsung included a Bluetooth keyboard and trackpad in the box, as no one has really solved virtual keyboards besides Meta perhaps. And since we're on the topic of productivity, the tablet version of some apps like Chrome, for example, is just not enough to work at your maximum proficiency. It's the phone browser at best, stretched out for the bigger canvas, and if you use Chrome for work, you would know that a full desktop bookmark bar is the best way to go, which is not an option here, unfortunately. Google's own XR apps are a mixed bag to say the least. YouTube's 3D library is great, but the browsing experience is not the same as the good old Android tablet version. What we have on XR is definitely oversimplified, and it's also missing some features. And the Samsung avatars for Google Meet are just absolutely not. They look like cartoons, and it's just an absolute no for me. So at the end of the day, what is this whole Galaxy XR thing all about? In the long term, AI glasses could one day replace your phone, laptop, and TV. Unfortunately, this headset can't replace your phone, but it could replace your laptop and it could replace your television if you're willing to make the trade-off of wearing it, which is a sacrifice I know most people will not make today. However, most of this review was written in Google Keep with a Bluetooth keyboard in XR. We've watched hour-long shows, played games. The utility is certainly there. After using the Galaxy XR, we see a temporary intermediate period where headsets become the third computing device, just like a tablet is right now. But the bottom line is simply this: the full-blown Android XR experience on this headset will take years to make its way to smart glasses, or you can immediately experience a preview of that eventual future right now. It's certainly an enthusiast first device, and we're definitely not expecting it to hit mass market. That said, it's an extremely fun way to engage with mixed reality in the meantime. But those are just my thoughts in this quick early review. There is a lot more that I plan to cover in future videos. For example, I know gaming is super important both on device and through PC VR. I know a lot of people are curious on more specific use cases. That said, everyday enthusiasts are getting their hands on this, finding mods and changes to help amplify the experience, and I fully intend to explore that. So if you are curious, please subscribe to the channel for future content and leave a comment on exactly what you want to see, as I will be reading every single one of them. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. This has been Jordan Floyd from 9to5 Google, and I will see you in the next one.